KJ, good looking, baby. Yeah.
7 days a week, I've been working 7 days a week. I've been.
By now, I'm sure we all know the legend of Dr. J, the great Julius Erving, the founder of the Rockabye Baby Dunk, walked on air with the famous baseline scoop. But what if I told you that the NBA may have cheated us out of some years in his prime? He joined the NBA playing for the 76ers in 1976, but he did have an opportunity to play earlier on back in 72 with either the Milwaukee Bucks or the Atlanta Hawks. Julius Erving was a superstar in his playing days with the 76ers, but before that, he was once targeted by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the Milwaukee Bucks to possibly form one of the greatest trios in basketball ever. Let's take you to the summer of 1971. Color TVs were in every household. Just My Imagination by The Temptations was the #1 song in the country. Afros were a thing, but more importantly, the Milwaukee Bucks, a team that was just founded 3 years prior, won their very first NBA championship, led by Kareem and Oscar Robertson. And Dr. J was just making his stardom known in the ABA, playing for the Virginia Squires. And the ABA was its own entity, the American Basketball Association, before joining the NBA in the 1976 merger. The ABA had their fair share of legends, from George Gervin to Artis Gilmore to Moses Malone, Rick Barry, Spencer Haywood, and the list goes on. Already an accomplished player in high school and at the University of Massachusetts, Erving was bringing his high-flying ability to the professional level and setting the league on fire. In his rookie season with the Squires, Dr. J averaged a double-double with 27 points and nearly 16 rebounds per game. While both the Squires and the Bucks were deep in their respective playoff runs that season, the NBA was holding that year's draft. Sounds completely weird, doesn't it? I'll get to that. But considering the state of the size of the NBA at the time, the draft process was much different to what it is now, spanning numerous rounds, with each round lasting 17 picks. During that year's draft, the Bucks were in a rare position to add a prestigious player to a championship caliber team, as they held 2 first-round picks, the 6th pick and the 12th overall pick. After taking Russ Lee, a small forward out of Marshall, their first time up, the Bucks selected Erving with their second first-round selection. A gamble like Erving at that point was obviously a risk the Bucks were willing to take, considering how skilled of a player he already was and projected to be. Yet little did the Bucks know how everything would unfold in months to come. Shortly after the draft finalized, news broke that Dr. J had signed a contract with the Atlanta Hawks right before the draft. You sign a contract right before you enter draft. I don't even know how that's possible. But the Hawks' argument made by the team's owner, Bill Putnam, was short. Quote, "My position on that is that Erving is a professional and not subject to rules of the college draft." But the main question is, why would Erving sign a contract with the Hawks when he was already under contract with the Squires? It just didn't add up. So Erving contended that his agent at the time, Steve Arnold, who helped facilitate his contract with the Squires, was also working on behalf of the team and the ABA. Feeling misrepresented, Erving filed a lawsuit on the Squires and the ABA, demanding that his contract be completely voided. With the Hawks eager for Erving's services, the Bucks obviously felt they had his rights since they drafted him, as Bucks general manager Wayne Embry put it at the time. Quote, "As far as by the laws of the National Basketball Association goes, the rights to Julius Erving belongs to the Milwaukee Bucks. It's clear cut as that." So the doctor was with the Hawks for training camp to prepare for the 72-73 season. Meanwhile, negotiations between the Bucks and Hawks eventually broke down, with both sides unwilling to meet demands. And rumor has it, Bucks were asking for Pistol Pete Maravich, Lou Hudson, draft picks, and cash in exchange for Erving's rights. That's where then NBA Commissioner Walter Kennedy intervened and brought the matters to a Board of Governors meeting where the Bucks were awarded Irving's NBA rights. Despite the vote, Irving continued to stay with the Hawks, even going as far as playing with the team once their preseason began. And because of that, Hawks began to stack up on fines from Kennedy and the NBA. Defiant, the Hawks, namely Putnam, filed an antitrust suit worth $2 million towards the league. And with all the chaos and with all the controversy around Irving's NBA future reaching a fever pitch, a federal judge ruled that Irving was only to play with the Squires, and any disputes over his contract were to go through arbitration. Now, eventually, Irving and the Squires both settled their differences, and Irving played with the team for one more season before being traded to the New York Nets the very next. But we just have to ask ourselves, what would the NBA look like had Dr. J never signed that contract with the Atlanta Hawks? Kareem would have never left the Milwaukee Bucks in the year of 1975, which means in 1980, the Lakers wouldn't have been Showtime when Magic stepped into the league. Reason behind that is because 1980 was the year of Kareem's 6th and final MVP award, which would have completely changed the narrative of the NBA in the 80s. Because in that following year of 81 was the year of Dr. J's first MVP award. So the Larry Bird and Magic Johnson feud in the NBA probably wouldn't have existed if Dr. J went to the Bucks because of Kareem, even though that feud started in college. On the other hand, let's just say the Hawks did win the legal battle pertaining the rights to Julius Erving back in 1972 when Julius Erving first approached the NBA. Keep in mind, Pistol Pete Maravich was on that team. Pistol Pete was one of the greatest playmakers to step foot not just on an NBA court, but a basketball court in general. Before there was the Jason Kidds, the Steve Nash, the Magic Johnsons, there was Pistol Pete. And he was a pioneer in the making. So far ahead of his time that not even his own teammates could understand his playing style at the time. And had Dr. J paired up with Pistol Pete back in 1972, who would have known what the landscape of the NBA would have laid out in front of us? But that's all we have for today. I hope you guys liked the video, and as always, subscribe to the channel. I'm KJ the producer, and I'm out.